In this video, I'll show you how you can merge multiple exposures into a single 8-bit image using Merge to HDR Pro. In Bridge, make a crossing selection that selects all of these images in the Chapter 4 folder. Then go to the Tools menu and choose Photoshop, Merge to HDR Pro. This is an alternative way to get to Merge to HDR Pro directly from Bridge. It takes a moment as the images are loaded, aligned, and then sent to the Merge to HDR Pro dialog box. Let's change the mode to 16-bit at first. Notice that the interface changes, and this is true both for 16-bit and 8-bit images. Over here we have different methods that we can use to remap the exposure values into a single image. Equalize histogram has no options. Exposure and gamma allows you to vary these two parameters. You can see that we actually do have all of the information in this data set here available to us. But this doesn't give us enough granularity to create an acceptable exposure. Highlight compression also doesn't have any options. You'll get the best results with local adaptation. It gives you all of these sliders. And within that, you can choose a preset up here. And there are many to select from. In this case, I'm looking for something that's photorealistic, so I'll select this preset and use it as a jumping off point. Radius has an important effect. Try something very large, and then something very small, and you'll see a very profound difference. As I increase the radius, we start to get a different look. It appears a bit sharper, perhaps. We can vary the strength here. This looks blurrier, so I'm going to increase the strength a bit more. You can try edge smoothness. That tends to take away some of the sharpness. Down here, we can adjust the gamma. This tends to brighten the highlights. If you go too far, it kind of washes the whole image out, makes it kind of gray. So somewhere in this range is acceptable for this particular data set. And exposure, I'm going to increase this a bit so that we get a brighter pond. And detail refers to the amount of sharpness in the image. So it's quite subjective, and you can adjust these sliders as you see fit. Here I'm going to brighten the shadows somewhat, and perhaps darken the highlights. I think it might be a little oversaturated, so I'm going to decrease this down to 0 and pull vibrance down a bit also. Finally, I'll click OK, and the image is sent to Photoshop. The result is a single 8-bit image, and it contains a greater dynamic range than any of the initial exposures.